everyone. We will be learning Managing Director today. Managing Director is one of the KMPs as listed under section 203. One of the KMP is Managing Director. So Managing Director has been defined under section 2, subsection 54 of the Act. Managing Director means a director who, by virtue of the articles of the company or an agreement with the company or a resolution passed in its general meeting or by its board of directors, is entrusted with substantial powers of management of the affairs of the company, and includes a director occupying the position of managing director by whatever name called. So we understand that managing director, first person need to be a director, then only he can become a managing director. And managing director has the substantial powers of management of the affairs of the company. And a person who is a director who is occupying the position of MD will be said to be MD. Right? Managing director's appointment is guided by the articles of the company. There will be an agreement between the company and the concerned person, and there will be a resolution which will be passed in the general meeting and the board meeting as well for approving the appointment of managing director. Managing director is entrusted with the substantial powers of management of the affairs of the company. So explanation defines that what will not be said to be inside the gamut of substantial powers of management of affairs of the company. So these are the routine administrative tasks which will never be included in the substantial powers of management of the company, right? So whenever the need be, the board of directors authorizes specific directors to do specific work, right? And one of these are the few administrative acts of routine nature, of recurring nature, which is obviously the board of directors entrust some directors to do it, right? Including a MD. So what are those powers? Power to affix the common seal of the company to any document like bank guarantee or any important agreement or agreement of merger, whatever be the case, common seal is the signature of the company, right? And as per 2013 Act, common seal is now not mandatory. Company may have, may not have, but generally company has. So common seal of the company will be affixed. Power to affix means it will be done in the presence of directors, right? So power to affix the common seal of the company in any document, or to draw or endorse any check on the account of the company in any bank, or to draw and endorse any negotiable instrument. A drawing of any check, any check or any NI on account of the company in favor of any person or any institution will also be done or authorized by the board resolution, and will be given, some directors will be given powers to do that. To sign any certificate, share certificate. So share certificates are signed by these directors only, so including MD maybe. So maybe whenever they are authorized, they do it. So these are the powers which are given to the directors according to the BR. And share certificate signature, signing of share certificate, or transferring of or registering the transfer of shares. Transfer of shares requests come in form SH1, form SH4. Form SH4 from either the transferor or the transferee, and in the records of the company, in the register of transfer, the share transfer register, obviously the name of the transferee need to be included, right? So which will be done by the authorization of the board of directors, which will be done obviously by any of the directors or obviously the secretarial team. All these tasks will not be included in the substantial powers of management of affairs of the company. Section 196. Appointment of managing director, full-time director, or manager. So 196 caters to the appointment of MD, WTD, or manager. So these are all KMPs we understand. So whenever we'll be specifically dealing with WTD or manager, we'll not be dealing deal with this 196, because 196 section is common for the appointment of all the three KMPs. So it will be obviously an important section to understand. No company shall appoint or employ at the same time a managing director and the manager. We understand that managing director is entrusted with the substantial powers of management, and same do the manager. So both of them has the similar power and the similar position. So obviously, if one person is there and the work can be done, why will the two person be needed at the same time being appointed, right? So that's why it's avoided, and it's being also restricted by subsection 1, that at the same time company must have only, if MD is there, no requirement of manager. If manager is there, no requirement of MD. This manager is the manager which has a comparatively same amount of powers like the MD. Other managers will be there in the company, like general manager, finance manager, all different middle level management will be there. But we are talking about this senior level management, and this manager is that one which is obviously sharing the same type of powers like MD. So that's why MD and manager will not be simultaneously be there at the same time in one company. One person can obviously handle entire affairs of the company. No company shall appoint or reappoint any person as its MD, WTT, or manager for a term exceeding 5 years at a time. Means that 5 years maximum a term can be there for a managing director or a whole-time director or a manager. Maximum 5 years. 5 years term is also for an independent director. We are just revising what we have done earlier, provided that no reappointment shall be made earlier than 1 year before the expiry of his tenure or term. Understand that managing director is appointed for a term of 5 years. It can be less than 5 years also. It's the discretion of the company. Maximum is 5 years. Okay. So reappointment decision can be done of same managing director. Yes, it can be done. Same MD can be again reappointed, but the decision for reappointment will be taken only when the 1 year is left before the expiry of his term. So suppose a manager or MD was appointed for in the year 2017, and now in 2022 his tenure will be going to be expired, then in the year 2021 to 2022 the decision for reappointment can be taken into consideration, which will be obviously subject to the performance evaluation of the concerned MD and also the recommendations and approvals from the nomination and recommendation nomination and remuneration committee of the board, who will be recommending such reappointment. Government companies are exempted from the requirement of the compliance of this section, as we know that 203 was not applicable in case of government company, and so does this section, that is 196, because government company appoint these KMPs and managing director and other directors as per the government approval. They have a separate mechanism. So 196 and 203 not applicable in case of government company. No company shall appoint or continue the employment of any person as MD, WTD, or manager who is below the age of 21 years or has attained the age of 70 years. So we can understand the age band is 21 years, more than 21 to less than 70 is the qualifying age to become a MD, WTD, or manager. But for a person who is a director or want to become a director, just 18 years are there, because in India, the majority age is 18. And as per the Contract Act, capacity to enter into a contract, obviously there will be a contract between the company and the director, or a MD and a company. So obviously capacity of the parties need to be seen, and that's why 18 years is enough for a director, and for MD 21 is there, which the Act has given us. So remember the ages, that is 21 to more than 21, less than 70 to become MD, WTD, or manager. Then the question arises, if a person is more than 70 years and still he want to continue as an MD, or he really people want him to get appointed, then what to do? Two cases we can understand that in this case 2 ways are there to appoint such a person who is more than 70 years old. First one, that such appointment can be done if there is an approval from the shareholders. The shareholders have agreed and they have passed a special resolution in the shareholders meeting. And while we'll be convening the meeting, the notice of such meeting shall include the explanatory statement. And in the explanatory statement, the proposed resolution is always there. And obviously, after the proposed resolution, an explanatory statement is also annexed with the notice, in which the justification for such appointment will be made. That why we want such a old person to get appointed and take the responsibility as an MD or a WTD or a manager, obviously, which post has led more powers and obviously substantial powers of management of affairs of the company will be there. So if he is in the position to handle it, like age wise, health wise, and also other matters, other considerations will also be taken into other circumstances will also be taken into considerations. So justification for such appointment will be given in the explanatory statement. Beforehand, the shareholders will have the notice, proposed resolution, and also the explanatory statement justifying the board's proposition regarding such appointment. And therefore this will help the shareholders to make their mind and understand the entire matter and come so that they can make a prudent decision which will be in the interest of the company. So SR requires 3/4 majority, means 75% of the vote should be in favor of the resolution, then only should be in favor of the motion, then only it will be passed and it will be called as resolution. This is the first way to do it. Next way to do is that if the company is unable to secure SR, the reason is that obviously the 3/4 majority, the limit could not achieved, then it can be done in this way, that votes cast in favor of a motion, right, should be more than the votes cast against. And board of directors have made a request or a application to the central government, that is MCA, and giving the justification that why this appointment will be most beneficial for the company. And if CG is satisfied and grants the approval, then obviously such person can be appointed as a MD or WTD or manager who has already surpassed the age of 70 years. So two ways are there. We should understand that how we can appoint a person who has already attained the age of 70 and still in the position of MD, WTD or manager. Others B, C, D are the disqualifications to become a MD, WTD or manager. We understand that section 164 specifically deals with the disqualification to become director in any company in India, both subsection 1 and subsection 2, right? So there are many conditions inside that. And we should read both the sections simultaneously while we are appointing MD, WTD or manager. That is 164 shall be read along with section 196. And 160, because before a person become a MD, he should first qualify to become a director. So that's why both the sections 164 and 196 to be read simultaneously. So 196 deals with these three disqualifications. First, that he should be, no company shall appoint, means while taking the appointment decision, this to be taken into consideration, or if certain person is already appointed as a MD, WTD or manager working as a MD, but when he attracted these kind of disqualification, he has to step down. So will not continue the employment also of a person as a MD, WTD or manager if he is an undischarged insolvent. So if he is an undischarged insolvent, means that his case is still pending before a tribunal or a court, and the decision of insolvency means he is not yet adjudicated as an insolvent. So court case is pending. So it's undischarged insolvent. Or at any time, means any time in his lifetime, he was adjudicated as an insolvent. So he was declared insolvent by any competent court. Declared insolvent or undischarged insolvent will not be allowed. Has at any time suspended the payments to his creditors, or makes or has at any time made a composition with them. This means that whenever at any time in his lifetime the person has defaulted in making the payment, or he has suspended in making the payment for the to the creditors. So he has not made the payment to the creditors, or at any time made a settlement with them. So settlement with this creditors. If 1 lakh was supposed to be paid, he has paid 50,000 by settling the dues. At any time in the lifetime, he was convicted by a court of an offense. So court convicts only, first the acquisition is there, and then the summon is issued. Parties are called in person or can be represented through legal counsel. And thereafter, giving opportunity of heard to both the parties, then the judge decides whether, on the basis of evidences, that whether the person is guilty, and if found guilty, then only the conviction happens, right? So conviction by any court is done, and sentence was also made for a period of more than 6 months. So conviction plus sentence, and that too greater than 6 months. Then the person is not allowed to be MD, WTD or manager. So if suppose a person was convicted and just the penalty was charged or fine was charged, then allowed. Convicted, but the convicted and sentenced also, but it was less than 6 months, maybe 1 month or 15 days, then also allowed, as per this subsection. Subject to the provisions of Section 197 and Schedule 5, a MD, WTD or manager shall be appointed, and the terms and conditions of such appointment and remuneration payable be approved by the Board of Directors at the meeting, which shall be subject to the approval by a resolution at the next general meeting of the company and the CG in case such appointment is in variation to conditions specified under Part 1 of that schedule. Section 197 will be a follow-on section after 196. 197 deals with the managerial remuneration to be paid to the managerial personnel. We consider all these personnel, KMPs, and obviously these MD, WTD, and managers as the managerial personnel, and remuneration to be paid, how much to be paid, is defined under Section 197. Schedule 5 of the Act deals with the payment of MR, managerial remuneration, to managerial personnel in case the company has inadequate profits. In this subsection, we understand that MD, WTD or manager shall be appointed, and the terms and conditions of such appointment shall, and including the remuneration to be payable, will be approved first by the Board of Directors at their meeting, that is at the board meeting. And this appointment shall subsequently be approved by a resolution passed at the shareholders meeting in that is the next general meeting. And CG approval is only required in case the appointment of MD or WTD or manager is in variance, means it is not according to the conditions which were specified under Part 1 of the Schedule 5. Some deviations are there. Then only the CG approval is required, otherwise CG approval is not required. Just two-step process is there. First, board meeting, board resolution, appointment done, and thereafter this appointment will again be approved or substantiated by the next resolution, that is of the resolution by the shareholders in the upcoming general meeting. May be held after 6 months, 3 months, whatever. Provided that this notice of convening this general meeting or a board meeting for considering such appointment shall include the terms and conditions of such appointment, remuneration payable, and such other matters, including the interest of a director or a directors in such appointments, if any. So notice will be sent before convening these meetings, right, to respective parties, be it the directors or the members or other interested groups who are supposed to attend the meetings. So this notice will be including, along with the notice, the appointment terms and conditions will be mentioned, and The remuneration to be payable will also be mentioned, and such other matters which are really required for the interested parties, like be it directors or members to take the respective decision, will be given to them along with the notice. One important point is that regarding the interest of the directors. So directors' interest will also be mentioned. Obviously, the person who is getting appointed as a MD or a WTD or a manager, that proposed person will always be interested. Apart from that, any other directors of the board are interested, that need to be mentioned in the notice itself, right? In the proposed resolution, when it will be there, it should be mentioned there. As per section 184 of the Act, the directors need to give their interest, if any, in the proposed resolution which is going to be passed. And if they are interested, they need to disclose their interest as per this section, that is 184, and they will be abstain from voting for that particular resolution. So that's why it's important that the disclosure of interest of directors should be there, mentioned in the notice itself. Now, return of appointment of MD, WTD or managers, return of appointment will be filed with the registrar of company through the MCA portal, and the return of appointment will be made in the form MR1. It's electronic form, form MR1, which will be filed within 60 days from the date of appointment. Government companies and private companies are exempted. Private companies are exempted means that it is the optional, not it's a optional or voluntary call for a private company to appoint MD, WTD or manager, right? We understand from section 203 that only Rule 8A is applicable to those private companies whose paid up share capital is greater than equals to 10 crore rupees. Will be appointing a whole-time CS. Apart from whole-time CS, other KMPs which are listed under 203, private companies have no obligation by the Act to do so, but on voluntary basis they can appoint. And if they appointed, obviously they have to comply with this provision. Otherwise, it is not so much required by them to appoint MD, and if they are not appointing any MD, then obviously no requirement of this form filing. Where an appointment of an MD, WTD or a manager is not approved by the company at the general meeting, any act done by him before such approval shall not be deemed to be invalid. This means that suppose a managing director was appointed by the board of directors and the general meeting, the upcoming next general meeting was due in 3 years time, 3 years duration, right? 3 months duration. So what will happen that after 3 months, as per the understanding of the section, we understand that the shareholders also need to approve such appointment. But at the general meeting, certain terms and conditions were not agreeable to the shareholders, which they feel that they are not in the interest of the company, and that's why they didn't pass the resolution or didn't give the approval. Then what happens in such a case? The ramification will be the concerned MD has to step down from his position. So whatever acts done during this tenure of his office, which was just 3 months or maybe 6 months, whatever be the time, such acts which are done before getting such approval will be deemed to be valid acts. It will not be considered invalid. So we understand about managing director. Managing director defined under 2/54 states that substantial powers of management of the affairs of the company is with the MD. And under this appointment of MD, whole-time director, manager, we understood about their qualifications, disqualifications, and tenure, and who can become managing director in brief. And what's the procedure of becoming an MD, and what are the compliances to be done. thank you for your patient listening.